Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Didye Nashtaprayeshu Vadreshu Nityam Bhakta Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktirovati Naistike. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, today we start a new chapter, chapter 63, Lord Krishna fights with Banasur. Text number 1 onwards. Shri Shukuvacha apashyatam cha niruddham tadbandhunam cha bharat chatvaru varshika bhasa vyati yur anushochatam. So yesterday we discussed how Usha, daughter of Banasur, she fell in love with Anirudh. She saw him in a dream, and then her friend Chitralekha drew a picture, and then Chitralekha went to Dwarka and kidnapped Anirudh and brought him to the palace of Usha, in inner chambers where all the girls would be. So somehow Banasur was given the news that your daughter is not maiden anymore. Somebody is there. So Banasur came and Anirudh fought with everybody, but ultimately he was captured by Banasur's Maya. Then he was in the captivity and Usha was crying. And then 4 months passed. So this is what this first verse is. Shukdev Goswami said, O descendant of Bharat, the relatives of Anirudh, not seeing him return, continued to lament as the 4 rainy months passed. Narad atad upakarnya vartam buddhasya karma cha prayayu shonitapuram vrishnaya Krishna devata. After hearing from Narad the news of Aniruddha's deeds and his capture, the Vrishnis who worshipped Lord Krishna as a personal deity went to Shonitapur. Pradyumno yuyudhanascha gada sambhuvatha sarana nandopananda bhadradya Ramakrishna anuvartina. Akshohini bhirdvadash bhi sameta sarvato desham rurudhur bana nagaram samantat satvata rishabha. So Narad Muni came and told Krishna about the whereabouts of Anirudh, where is he, how he was captured by Banasur, and then the Yadus, they went there with all their army, with Lord Balram and Lord Krishna in the lead, the chiefs of the Satvat clan, that Pradyumna, Satyaki, Gada, Samba, Sarna, Nanda, Upananda, Bhadra and others converged with an army of 12 divisions and laid siege to Banasur capital, completely surrounding the city on all sides. Bhajyamana Purodhyana Prakaratal Gopuram Prekshimano Rusha Vishtas Tulya Sanyo Abhiniryayo. Banasur became filled with anger upon seeing them destroy his cities, suburban gardens, ramparts, watchtowers, and gateways, and thus he went out to confront them with an army of equal size. So Krishna and Balram went with 12 divisions, so 12 Akshohini, and similar size Banasur brought. Banarthe Bhagwan Rudra Sasuta Pramathar Vrataha Aruya Nandi Vrishabham Yuyudhe Ramakrishna. Now this is a most important and very interesting fight. Why? Lord Rudra, accompanied by his son Kartikeya and the Pramathas, came riding on Nandi, his bull carrier, to fight Balram and Krishna on Bana's behalf. So Shivji is on Banasur's side, and Kartikeya and everybody is on Bana's side, fighting against Krishna and Balram. Srila Sridhar Swami states that the word Bhagwan is used here to indicate that Lord Shiva is by nature all-knowing and thus well aware of Lord Krishna's greatness. Still, although Shiva knew Lord Krishna would defeat him, he joined the battle against him to demonstrate the glories of the Supreme Personality of God. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur states that Lord Shiva entered the battle for two reasons. First, to increase Lord Krishna's pleasure and enthusiasm, and second, to demonstrate that the Lord's incarnation as Krishna, although enacting human-like pastimes, is superior to other avatars such as Lord Ramchandra. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur further states in this regard that Yogmaya, Lord Krishna's internal potency, bewildered Lord Shiva just as she had bewildered Brahma. In support of this statement, the Acharya cites the phrase Brahma Rudradi Mohanam from Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. Of course, Yogmaya's job is to make fine arrangements for the Lord's pastimes, and the Shiva became enthusiastic to battle the Supreme Lord Krishna. So Shivji came to fight against Krishna and Balram. And the Acharyas say he came because, first of all, he was covered by Yogmaya. Then secondly, he wanted to demonstrate the glories of Krishna. Krishna is not an ordinary person. He's even greater than Lord Shiva. Shivji came to establish that. Asit Sutumulam Yuddham Adbhutam Romaharshanam Krishna Shankarayo Rajan Pradyumna Guyorapi. A most astonishing, tumultuous, and hair-raising battle then commenced, with Lord Krishna mashed against Lord Shankar and Pradyumna against Kartikeya. Kumbhand Kupar Kupa Karnabhyam Balena Sahasamyuka Sambasya Bana Putrena Banena Sahasatyake. Lord Balram fought with Kumbhanda and Kupakarna, and Samba with Bana's son, and Satyaki fought with Banasur himself. Brahma Deya Suradhisha Munya Siddhacharana Gandharvat Saraso Yaksha Vimanar Drishtumagaman. Brahma and the other ruling demigods, along with Siddhas, Charans, and great sages, as well as Gandharvas, Apsaras, and Yakshas, all came in their celestial airplanes to watch. They did not take side on it. They did not go on any side. They just wanted to watch. Shankaranu Charan Shaurir, Bhut Pramat Guyakan, Dakinir Yatu Dhanansha, Vetalan Savinayakan. Preta Matri Pishachansha, Kushmandan Brahma Rakshasa, Dravya Masatikshana Graha, Shara Sharang Dhanush Achutaha. With sharp-pointed arrows discharged from his bow, Sharang, Lord Krishna drove away the various followers of Lord Shiva, such as Bhutas, Pramathas, Guyakas, Dakinis, Yatadhanas, Vetaras, Vinayakas, Pretas, Matas, Pishach, Kushamandals, and Brahma Rakshas. So what's difficult for Krishna? Just with this, he shot some arrows and all these associates of Lord Shiva ran away. Prithak Vidhani Prayukta Pinakya Strani Sharangino Pratyastra Shamyamasa Sharanga Panir Avismitaham. So just going to the previous words. So this is the ultimate, not the ultimate. This was the way if somebody has these problems, sometimes it's say, or in your house some bhuta pret is living and this or that. If Krishna's arrow shot by his bow Sharang can drive them away, what to speak of Krishna himself or Krishna's holy name? So Krishna's holy name is non-different from Krishna. What about him? If we chant his name, all these entities can run away. Lord Shiva, wielder of the trident, shot various weapons at Lord Krishna, wielder of Sharang. But Lord Krishna was not in the least perplexed. He neutralized all these weapons with appropriate counter weapons. Brahmastrasya cha brahmastram, Vayavayasya cha parvatam, Agneyasya cha parjanyam, Najam pashupatasya. Lord Krishna counteracted a Brahmastra with another Brahmastra, a wind weapon with a mountain weapon, a fire weapon with a rain weapon, and Lord Shiva's personal Pashupatastra weapon with his own personal weapon, the Narayan Astra. So Pashupatastra is considered the most deadly weapon, but Narayan Astra even counteracted it. Mohitva to Girisham, Jarimbhastrena Jarimbitam, Banasya Pritanam, Shorir, Jaganasig Deshabhi. After bewildering Lord Shiva by making him yawn with a yawning weapon, Lord Krishna proceeded to strike down Banasur's army with his sword, club, and arrows. So there's a yawning weapon also. So modern day weapon making people, they don't know all these different kinds of weapons. So he shot a yawning weapon at the opposite party. So Lord Shiva started yawning. Lord Shiva, everybody started yawning. So they become like fatigued. They have no strength at all left. Yawning means almost about to sleep. And Krishna knows Lord Shiva is not my enemy. He's just fighting on the side of Banasur. So he's a short, yawning weapon. Because his real enemy was Banasur. So he went to fight with Banasur. Skanda Pradyumna Bano Ghair Ardhimana Samantata Asrig Vimunchan Gatrebhya Shikhinapa Kramadranat. Lord Kartikeya was distressed by the flood of Pradyumna's arrows raining down from all sides, and thus he fled the battlefield on his peacock as blood poured from his limbs. So even Kartikeya, he was defeated by Pradyumna. It said that Kartikeya is never defeated, but here Pradyumna defeated Kartikeya. Because Pradyumna is Krishna's son. So who can defeat Pradyumna? Kumbhanda Kupa Karnasya Petatur Mushlardito Dudruvus Tad Anikani Hatanathani Sarvata. Kumbhand and Kupakarna, tormented by Lord Balram's club, fell down dead. When the soldiers of these two demons saw that the leaders had been killed, they scattered in all directions. They all just ran away. Vishirya Manas Swabalam Drishtva Bhanuati Amarshitaha Krishnam Abhyadravat Sankhe Rathi Hitvav Saktikim. Banasur was furious to see his entire military force being torn apart. Leaving his fight with Satyaki, he charged across the battlefield on his chariot and attacked Lord Krishna. Dhanushya Krishya Yugpad Bana Pancha Shatani Ve Eke Kasmin Sharau Dodo Sandade Rana Durmadaha. Excited to a frenzy by the fighting, Bana simultaneously pulled taut all the strings of his 500 bows and fixed 2 arrows on each string. Because he had 1,000 hands, so he could carry 500 bows, and he put 2 arrows on each string, means 1,000 arrows going to be shot at Krishna right away, at once. Tani Chichhed Bhagwan Dhanusi Yukpadhari Sarthim Ratham Ashvansha Hatva Shankam Apuryata. Lord Shri Hari split every one of Banasur's bows simultaneously and was also struck down his chariot driver, chariot, and horses. The Lord then sounded his conch shell. This was even before he sounded his conch shell. He struck down everything that Banasur had. Tanmata Kotra Nama Nagna Mukta Shidoruha Puruvatasthe Krishnasya Uttara Prana Ridakshya. Just then Banasur's mother, Kotara, desiring to save her son's life, appeared before Lord Krishna naked and with her hair undone. Tatastiryang mukho nagna manirikshan gada graja banasya tavad virathascha chinna dhanva vishat puram. Lord Gadagraja turned his face away to avoid seeing the naked woman, and Banasur, deprived of his chariot, his bow shattered, took the opportunity to flee into his city. So he ran back into the city. Vidravite bhutagane jvarastu trishirash sripata abhyadhava dasharham dahanniv disho dasha. After Lord Shiva's followers had been driven away, the Shiva Jwara, who had 3 heads and 3 feet, pressed forward to attack Lord Krishna. As the Shiva Jwara approached, he seemed to burn everything in 10 directions. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes the following description of the Shiva Jwara. The terrible Shiva Jwara had 3 legs, 3 heads, 6 arms, and 9 eyes. Showering ashes appeared equal to time, death, and Yamaraj. So Shiv Jwara is a kind of a weapon which it just makes everything burn down. Everything becomes hot when Shiv Jwara is there. Atha Narayane Devas tam drishtva vyasrat jwaram maheshwaro vaishnavascha yuyudhate jwaravupo. Seeing this personified weapon approached, Lord Narayan then released his own personified fever weapon, the Vishnu Jwar. The Shiva Jwar and Vishnu Jwar thus battled each other. So personified Vishnu Jwar or Narayan Jwar also went to fight Shiva Jwar. Maheshwara Sumakrandan Vaishnaven Balardita Alabdva Bhaya Manyatra Bhito Maheshwaro Jvaraha Sharanati Rishikesham Tushta Pratanjalihi. The Shiva Jwara, overwhelmed by the strength of the Vishnu Jwara, cried out in pain, but finding no refuge. The frightened Shiva Jwara approached Lord Krishna, the master of the senses, hoping to attain his shelter. Thus, with joined palms, he began to praise the Lord. As pointed out by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, it is significant that the Shiva Jwara had to leave the side of his master, Lord Shiva, and directly take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. Jwara Uvacha. Jwar means fever. That normally we understand Jwara. But this is a personified person, a personified weapon. So that Jwar, Shiva Jwar, left Lord Shiva, his owner, and then he took shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. Namami Tvanti Shaktim Paresham Sarvatmanam Kevalam Gyapti Matram Vishvotapathisthana Samrodha Hetum Yattad Brahma Brahma Lingam Prashantam. The Shiva Jwar said, I bow down to you of unlimited potencies, the Supreme Lord, the Super Soul of all beings. You possess pure and complete consciousness and are the cause of cosmic creation, maintenance, and dissolution. Perfectly peaceful, you're the absolute truth to whom the Vedas indirectly refer. Previously, the Shiva Jwar felt himself to be unlimitedly powerful and thus attempted to burn Krishna. But now he himself has been burned, and understanding that Lord Shri Krishna is the Supreme Lord, he humbly approaches to bow down and offer praise to the Absolute Truth. According to the Acharya, the word Sarvatamanam indicates that Lord Shri Krishna is a super soul, the giver of consciousness to all living beings. Krishna confirms this in Bhagavad Gita. From me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. In his commentary, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur emphasizes that the Shiva Jwar has realized in many ways Lord Krishna's supremacy over his own master, Lord Shiva. Thus, the Shiva Jwar addressed Krishna as Ananta Shakti, possessor of unlimited potency, Paresha, the supreme controller, and Sarvatma, the super soul of all beings, even of Lord Shiva. The words Kevalam Gyapti Matra indicate the Lord Krishna possesses pure omniscience. According to our limited understanding, we act in this world, but Lord Krishna, with his unlimited understanding, performs infinite works of creation, maintenance, and annihilation. So everything depends on Krishna, and he is omniscient. He knows everything. There's nothing that he doesn't know. Kalo devam karma jiva sabhava dravyam kshetram prana atma vikara tatta sanghato bijaroha pravahas tvan maya shatan nishedham prapadye. Time, fate, karma, the jiva and his propensities, the subtle material elements, the material body, the life here, false ego, the various senses, and the totality of these as reflected in the living being's subtle body. All these constitute your material illusory energy, Maya, an endless cycle like that of seed and plant. I take shelter of you, the negation of this Maya. So only Krishna can remove this Maya, or can take us out of this Maya. The conditioned soul accepts a material body with which he attempts to enjoy the material world. That body is a seed of future material existence. Because when a person acts with that body, he creates further reactions, which grow into the obligation to accept another material body. In other words, material life is a chain of actions and reactions. The simple decision to surrender to the Supreme Lord releases the conditioned soul from this futile repetition of material growth and reaction. So this is otherwise this is an endless cycle. In this body we are here, we do some activities, we get the reactions, and then we have the desires, different desires, we develop certain kind of consciousness. We get his next body, and then again we do these activities, again we develop desires, again we develop different kind of consciousness. And the cycle goes on and on and on and on. Only when we take shelter of lotus feet of Krishna, then it's the beginning of the end of these material bodies. The process of education may be succinctly described as a way of eradicating ignorance through the attainment of knowledge. Through inductive, deductive, and intuitive means, we attempt to refute the illusory and the imperfect and elevate ourselves to a platform of full knowledge. In the previous text, Shivjwar describes the Supreme Lord as Sarvatmanam Kevalam Gyapti Matra, pure, concentrated spiritual consciousness. Now the Shivjwar concludes his philosophical descriptions of the Lord by saying in this text that the various aspects of material existence are also potencies of the Supreme Lord. Nana bhaver lilya devan sadhun loka setun bibarshi Hansyun margan hinsaya vartamanan janma tatte haraya bhume. With various intentions, we perform pastimes to maintain the demigods, the saintly persons, and the codes of religion for this world. By these pastimes, we also kill those who stray from the right path and live by violence. Indeed, your present incarnation is meant to relieve the earth's burden. So Krishna has said in Bhagavad Gita, I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. The demigods and sages are dedicated to executing the will of the Supreme Lord. The demigods act as cosmic administrators, and the sages, by their teachings and their good example, illumine the path of self-realization and holiness. But those who transgress the natural law, the laws of God, and live by committing violence against others are vanquished by the Supreme Lord in his various pastime incarnations. So that's why he appears. Paritrana sadhunam vinashaya chatukshkritam. तप्तो अहमते तेजसा दुसेन शांतो अग्रेण अति उल्बणेन ज्वरेण तावत् तापो देहिनां तेऽङ्घ्रिमूलम् नो सेवेरन् यावदाशानुबद्धः. I am tortured by the fierce power of a terrible fever weapon, which is cold yet burning. So Narayan Jwar was cold, very, very cold. And Shiv Jwar was hot. It was burning everything. But when the heat came in contact with the extreme cold of Narayan Jwar, it just subsided. All embodied souls must suffer as long as they remain bound to material ambitions and thus averse to serving your feet. So Shiv Jwar stated that those who live by violence will suffer similar violence at the hands of the Lord. But here he further states that those who do not surrender to the Supreme Lord are especially liable to punishment. Although Shiv Jwara himself had acted violently up until now, since he has surrendered to the Lord and rectified himself, he hopes to receive the Lord's mercy. In other words, he has now become the Lord's devotee. Shri Bhagwan Uvacha Trishiraste prasannosmi vyetu te madjvarad bhayam yo no smarati samvadam tasya tvanna bhuvetayam. The Supreme Lord said, O three-headed one, I am pleased with you. May your fear of my fever weapon be dispelled, and may whoever remembers our conversation here have no reason to fear you. Here the Lord accepts Shiv Jwara as his devotee and gives him his first order, that he should never frighten by heart fever those who faithfully hear this pastime of the Lord. So, heart fever, actually at the time of death, this is what happens. The body becomes very hot, almost like 107, 108 degrees. And then soul leaves and immediately the body becomes cold. So this is what Krishna is saying. Those who are faithful, those who faithfully hear this pastime of the Lord, they have no fear of becoming. Of course, we have to leave our bodies. Whenever we die, we're going to leave, but not in a painful way. Not in the painful way that normal people leave their bodies. Normal or ordinary people leave their bodies. So this is wonderful Shruti Phal of hearing this pastime. So anyway, we'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments. Okay, so you all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Ram.
Hare Krishna.